It's a fantasy world. Like, it's not the real world.
What is really getting these guys, Khari? Like, let's really be real about this. What is really catching up with these guys?
The rookie minimum is like 700,000-800,000. The best thing you can do is pretend that you're making less and then stash 50-60% away. You just want more guys to be cognizant of the fact that, all right, when it's time to make my transition, it's gonna take me a little bit more time than I anticipate.
What is the biggest financial mistake you see your teammates consistently make where you just go, like, bro, what are you doing? Certain athletes and leagues, there's always a couple of guys that ruin the reputation. I'm gonna be real. When you see AB doing his stuff and homie who's running around naked in his Phoenix home, a lot of people all of a sudden assume unfortunate things about guys, and then they don't realize that those guys are different crop. Let's go, baby. It's another episode of the Athletes and Assets podcast. I bring on your favorite athletes to chat about a business topic. Today, we got Khari Blasingame, fullback for the Chicago Bears, Vanderbilt University alum, host of the Business of Athletes podcast. What more do you want, man? We got two podcast hosts here who are inside, outside the game, off the field, the court, the field, the arena. But Khari, let's skip the small talk, man. Super Bowl 58, Chiefs, Niners. Give me three reasons why the Niners are beating the Swifties.
3 reasons why. Really good linebacking core, really good defense, I feel like. They got an explosive offense with Deebo Samuel, Juszczyk, Kittle. And, they've been there before, fell short. So, this might be their time to go, and, the moment won't be too big for them. So, I think they'll get it done. And I got some friends over there too. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't know who you're rooting for. I was kind of just like, pushing you there, but I was just biased in the question. So if you think the Chiefs are going to win, feel free to spit back at me. But it looks like we were on the same page here naturally.
Yeah, no. I think I want San Francisco to get it done. I don't know if I can say that as a NFC guy, but I got one of my best friends is over there, and so.
Okay.
I want them to get it done.
Okay, you're gonna get asked to make one of those special NFL jackets that Juszczyk's girlfriend's making, but for the 49ers. You're gonna for one game, or is that doing too much?
Nah. Can't do that.
Okay, we're pushing it now.
The jackets are definitely dope.
The jackets are dope, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on, and I'm excited to check them out in a couple weeks. But for you, this is the off season, and an NFL player's off season. It feels like a mad sprint to get what you need to get done off the field until okay, here goes OTAs, here comes training camp. It feels like it's a really quick off season. And so for you, can you give a glimpse of the business things you're trying to accomplish until it's time for you to report again back to the Bears?
So for me, business-wise, really just my personal philosophy is just to keep it simple, right? So I have real estate and I have a stock portfolio. I really just want to tighten the screws on that. I'm not really jumping into anything that's, too, out there exciting. I have Business of Athletes, and we're going to be diving into, some different concepts of investing, real estate, crypto, and just kind of going over the basics, but doing a deep dive into the basics and really just, focusing on keeping it simple, man. I feel like you said, it's a sprint. And ever since I got into the NFL, it's felt like it's been a sprint every offseason, whether it's moving, getting married. I got married in 21, had a daughter in 22.
Wow.
So, it's just, this offseason for me is about keeping it simple and, still, writing and doing the podcast, but in a way that feels, authentic to me and flows within my everyday life of the other things that are the most important.
It feels like you started the podcast for similar reasons why I started this whole shit. I just felt like there was just such an area, the way we're learning is changing. I think as a society, we're getting to more short form content. We idolize people more, even if they're athletes or celebrities, we idolize them for everything they have to say, not just their particular place where they got famous. And so I'm thinking if I had a selfish reason to learn about a business topic from athletes, like I might as well have them on and teach it. So it'd be more interesting than me having to go get an MBA or me having to go on YouTube and listen to some old guy who just speaks a bunch of fancy words. For you, did you see like a problem or a hole before you started the podcast where like, man, someone needs to really get these guys to speak about this, or I need to speak to them about what they're going to encounter off the field, when they're not playing?
Yeah, not necessarily like a problem or a hole, just that, it's so much to talk about and it's so much information. And I feel like everybody gives it just a little bit differently, right? And so I might hear something from one guy that doesn't really click and then go hear it from a totally different person. And now it makes all the sense in the world. So I just figure if I could put my own style on things, tell people about the things that I learned in the way that I learned them and what made sense to me, then I could help a guy that's in college, a guy that's in high school, now with all, this NIL that's coming into money earlier, I can help them avoid some of the pitfalls that they might not have fallen into if they weren't getting NIL money at such a young age and they had time to learn. You know what I'm saying? Even with college, not college, but even with the NFL, like I still have teammates that I talk to and learn from, and guys come to me and learn from me. So it's really just a byproduct of taking all the conversations I've had from college to pre-draft training to the NFL locker room and putting them in a podcast. And now with this next season of Business of Athletes, putting, some written content with it as well. So that's really what it's about, just putting things in my voice as I understand them, so that somebody else might get the same type of value that I get or got from hearing it from multiple different sources.
Yeah, absolutely. Khari, what is the biggest financial mistake you see your teammates or peers consistently make where you just go, like, bro, what are you doing?
It had to be the overspending. It'd have to be the overspending
on what?
On luxury items or maybe experiences. I hate to like generalize, but in other words, you could also put overspending in a category of like underestimating how much money they're going to need to successfully and smoothly transition into, let's call it civilian life, right? Because in the NFL, I heard a coach say this before, so I'm not being like sarcastic or anything, but it's a fantasy world. Like it's not the real world.
Yeah.
You work for 6-7 months of the year, everything from your food to potentially like laundry, like everything's taken care of for you. You just show up, eat, work, practice, and go home, And then all of a sudden you're dumped into this real world where, okay, now you don't have the same level of income coming in, you don't have the same level of amenities and people helping you get daily things done. So it requires a different level of like focus and also financial, cushion. So I just think that would be the biggest problem. And I also think that guys don't understand, like it's easy to get lulled to sleep by success, right? So everybody who's in the NFL has beat the odds to get there, right? So obviously in your head, you're like, okay, even if you're undrafted, free agent, no guarantees, you still think I'm gonna get to that next contract. I'm gonna get to year 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And that's a good mindset to have. Like you always want to have all chips in, but there's also a way to do that while still being smart and setting yourself up to leave the game and live a totally different life than you would have without the game.
We hear overspending all the time, Khari, but here we got to dive into that, man. Is it the Louis? Is it the Balenci? Is it the range? Is it the significant other's demands for her wardrobe? Like, what is really getting these guys, Khari? Like, let's really be real about this. Like, what is really catching up with these guys?
It's a little bit of all of that. Okay. For me, it's comfort. It's DoorDash and, ease of act. That's what I overspend on, and trips,
What kind of trips are you, what's a good trip for Khari, man? Let's say you were negligent of the vacation budget. You did whatever you wanted. Where are we going?
Man, I want to go somewhere tropical. I want to have like a villa, I want to pull out all the stops. I want to have a chef. I want to, me and my wife haven't had just a bunch of different trips, But when we do spend on travel, we like to have a good time and enjoy ourselves because, for 9-10 months out of the year, there's no there's no nothing, especially with a daughter and, football going on. So, but yeah, I want to go somewhere tropical and stay in a villa. Have a chef, do the excursions, I want to do all of that. So that's, for me, those are the things that I spend on. But to answer your question, man, it's a little bit of everything. Some guys love fashion. Some guys love watches. Some guys love cars, and it starts to add up after a while. Certain guys can do it. If you're first rounder, second rounder, okay, you can do a couple things, But me, I was undrafted free agent, and I didn't know when the next one was going to drop in the account or when it was going to stop. So, you just want more guys to be cognizant of the fact that, all right, when it's time to make my transition, it's going to take me a little bit more time than I anticipate. I'm not going to be able to just roll into the next thing. Maybe you are, but likelihood is it's going to take some time before you become 1% good at something else. Feels
like being guilty about overspending on DoorDash, that might be probably be a good problem to have for an NFL player. Like it's probably on the more frugal end of some things. We'll take Chipotle, bring it to your door.
Yeah, man, but it gets bad though. It gets bad when it's every day. It adds up. But I mean, I've spent on other things too. But those are the things that I feel are reasonable, within the budget. I feel like DoorDash, like a reasonable amount would be here, and then I'm just...
What are you really balling on like that though for DoorDash? You have a consistent restaurant you're going to? I know you're slamming some restaurant consistently.
Man, so in Chicago, every cheat meal, and then probably like every Friday before we're getting ready to go to the game, I'm eating this sushi poke bowl place.
Oh yeah, that adds. Yep.
And that's a smooth $30, $35 every time.
Yeah.
Right. So you do that, and then maybe you don't want to eat. I don't want to eat my meal prep, so I'm eating something else. DoorDash, a little, Cheesecake Factory, something healthy, but still that's another $40, $50. Then add my wife's in there. That's, it adds up. So I don't know, man. Just gotta try.
Do you see yourself as a financial mentor in the locker room to players? I know you're relatively, there's probably older guys in the locker room, but I think few guys have this really strong financial awareness and financial literacy like you have. Do you ever feel like guys are coming to your locker room like these days, like, hey, Khari, should I spend, is it okay to like spend this amount of money here? Or like, what should I do here, big guy?
This year I did have a couple younger players, actually they weren't too much younger than I was, but I did have a couple teammates come and ask me. It felt good, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's one of my, it's one of my new, hobbies and passions, is personal finance thing. So, them coming asking me, listening to my, opinion, because that's all it is. It's an opinion, but that did happen a couple times this year. So
yeah. Do you have a specific percentage of your paycheck to be put in your 401k that like you try to add, that like you try to tell people like you should put this amount? See, I get different advice. I hear different advice, but I'm curious if that's something you think about.
So in personal finance, a lot of the everyday wisdom that's out there on the internet, people will say 20% is good to save. But for me, I think that, for an NFL athlete who's making substantially more than they would have been making in any other, profession coming out of college, should probably try to pretend that they're making, good money coming out of college. Like, so pretend you just got out of law school and only live on 150, when you're making, because the average rookie, the rookie minimum is like, now it's like 700,000-800,000. When I came in, it was like 490 something, but it's going up. But the best thing you can do is pretend that you're making less and then stash 50-60% away.
That's a tough, I hear you. That's a tough conversation to have with that young rook coming in, trying to get that, trying to get that nice trip or car. Imagine you telling a wide receiver on the Bears, 50% goes to the 401k. You're gonna look at you like you're crazy.
But so you make it, let's call it 800 for a rookie. Make it 800. Let's just cut it in half because taxes are high. probably gonna end up bringing home close to half. So that's 400. If you can't live off 200 bands as a rookie, most of them are single with no children, you know. But if you can't live off 200 net, then it's a big leak in the boat. Like
we got bigger problems than 401k percentage.
It's a huge leak in the boat, right? So because you know the 401k, that's, you know, they can elect to have that come out automatically, and there's a limit on how much you can put there anyway. But I think that guys should be doing way more than just the 401k federal limit. I think at this area in your life, you know, if you're blessed, you get 10.
Yeah.
You get anywhere from like 6 to 10 if you're like of the most fortunate in the NFL. You know, the average is what, 3 years, and some guys are in for 1 or 2 and then they're out. So if you can play, if you're at worst gonna play 1 year, 2 years, or at worst spend 1 or 2 on the practice squad.
Yeah.
And you can tuck away a couple $100,000, that gives you a big cushion for moving into your next profession. Because that's what I think a lot of people don't realize. It's like, it's different levels to earning, you know, in the league. Everybody thinks you're an automatic millionaire when you get into the league, but it's different levels. And you don't want to be 28 with a couple $100,000 and no plan, you know.
Your 401k sort of breakdown with the guy who was making $800k a year, like that's Brock Purdy this year.
Yeah, that's him.
That's Brock Purdy.
Exactly. So, you know, it's not about just being frugal for the sake of like, oh, I don't spend any money. You know, some people try to wear that as a badge of honor.
Ocho Cinco. Really excuse me. Sorry.
You said what?
Ocho Cinco.
You know, hey, but that's him though.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, he's been doing the smart car thing since I can remember. You know, the fake jewelry thing since I can remember.
Oh, so that's really him. You've seen it. Like he's really that frugal.
I mean, from the content I've seen of him, you know what I'm saying? I was watching him back when I was in high school and he was on that wave, and he's still on it now. So you got to imagine that he's
really about that.
That's really him, you know?
Yes.
But yeah, man, I know it's not the most flashy thing to say, oh yeah, I save 50% of my income and, you know, put it away in index funds or in the stock market. But it's what you got to do, especially if you're going to be a guy who plays 3-4 years and then has to live off of that, because everybody sells this dream too, that you can go be this crazy investor. You can make a Kobe smart water deal, you know, but those don't happen all the time.
No, absolutely.
Those are hard to come by.
So are you personally in any stocks or index funds? Like, do you have passive income streams you can kind of share and like maybe why you chose them?
Yeah, so that's the main portion of my stock portfolio is index funds. I have a S&P 500 index fund, and then I have a global index fund that excludes the United States. And then I have like an emergency fund of just cash that sits in a money market and makes, this year it's going to be 5%, but with rates, it'll probably, you know, go down and up, you know, it'll fluctuate. But other than that, you know, I have a few single stocks that I, you know, played around with, Microsoft, Square, which has been a dog, but I bought Square. Funny story about Square. I bought Square when Jay-Z sold Tidal to Jack, and so they gave him a board seat. I was reading about that. I was like, all right, let me get some. Let me get
a piece of Hove.
Yeah, but yeah, man, that's a dog. But I don't do too much in single stocks because there's a lot of volatility with that. So I like to be diversified with a majority of my money.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, I have single family rental properties, and I rent those out. And that's really, you know, I keep it simple. You know, I'm not trying to take, you know, a majority of my money and bet the farm on something risky. I'm just, you know, doing the simple things.
The single family rental properties, are those Airbnbs or are those literally just homes in, you know, a certain area that you have a couple folks renting out for a couple years or whatnot? Yeah,
just long-term rentals. You know, the short-term rental play, it's a lot that goes into that. You know, you have people in and out of your house that you don't really know, and it's like, for me, I just don't need that complexity right now. I don't need it. Maybe one day I'll try it, but right now, that's not for me.
Yeah, you don't really have time during the NFL season to design your Airbnb and put flowers everywhere and, make sure they give you 5 stars. And if they don't give you 5 stars, the next person is not going to want to like rent out there's a lot of complexity there.
Yeah, it's a lot that goes into it. And you can hire a company to do it, but also I feel safer with the long-term play. I know what I'm getting. I know the cash flow, and that's what I want to do.
Where are your properties, your single family properties? Like in what city? Are they in Chicago or they're somewhere else?
One in Nashville, one in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Nashville one is from where I lived when I played for the Titans, and then in Chicago is a newer one. We use it now, and that'll be a rental one whenever I leave.
Yeah. There you go. That's smart. That's smart. So are there guys that you've played with that you have admired for what they've done business ventures off the field? Is there guys that you can shout out with, like sort of pay like a market map? Like, who are some guys we're sleeping on, that we might see later in life on the cap table or the board seat? They're like, wait a second, like I recognize you.
Well, so one of my guys, Oren, I played with him at Vanderbilt. He's currently with San Fran. He's always been savvy with his money. He was on crypto early.
Who is this?
Oren Burks.
Oren Burks. Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out Oren Burks.
He was on crypto early, back in college, and he really got into the real estate when he got into the league. And I look at him and learn from him. Another player is Jeremy McNichols, running back that I was with in Tennessee. He helped me along the path of buying my first home, which was really cool. And, a lot of guys that I just kind of look at from afar. I've said this guy's name 1,000 times, but Brandon Copeland, big time influence on me, just from a personal finance standpoint. Everything that he's put out from his brand with the content and everything. So a lot of guys that I look up to and learn from, take a little bit from their game off the field.
I mean, we say this all the time about football players. I mean, football players feel like a lot of them don't get enough credit for how easy they've been able to transition from off the field, because the confidence, charisma, and you're going to school every time you go to practice because the plays are so complex. So football players aren't like dummies. Like if you ever heard an offensive lineman meeting, they're speaking a language like you've never understood before. Same thing with the running backs. And you really have to turn your brain on every day. And I think it translates so well to a lot of different areas of investing.
Yeah, so I have a teammate that I played with at Vanderbilt. He's now in investment banking. And I was just, kind of talking to him, and he was just like, football would be the hardest thing, like job-wise, you ever do. Like just from time commitments, the strain on your body, how tired you are when you have to go be at your, 100%. So I think everything you just said is 100% correct. People sleep on football players. They, I feel like it's going away now, but the whole dumb jock stereotype.
But
right?
let me. I gotta keep it a beat. I gotta keep it 100. It always, unfortunately, in sports with certain athletes and leagues, there's always a couple of guys that ruin the reputation or sour it for everyone else. I'm gonna be real. When you see AB doing his stuff and homie who's running around naked in his Phoenix home, a lot of people all of a sudden assume unfortunate things about guys, and then they don't realize that those guys are not cut different crop. Like different. Yeah, and that's it was the guy who they wanted to have a CTE podcast with AB, which is like funny, but it's also like not funny. But it's like,
yeah, man, things like that. Those are choose my words, right? Those are sad cases and things that there might be underlying issues that we don't know are going on. So with those are outliers. Those are outliers, but you got it's gonna be like that in every group of people, right? It's always gonna be those outliers. But like you said, for all the bad rap that the outliers give you, there's tons of guys who are doing it the right way, transitioning smoothly into something else, keeping their money working for them. And I think that dumb jock, outlandish stereotype is going away.
Yeah. When you're done playing, if you could have it your way, do anything you want, where would you live? What would you work on? And why would you work on that?
So I live where I live now. So I live in Georgia. I really love it out here. What would I work on? In some form or fashion, I want to be educating on personal finance, whether that's financial advising, running my own consultation, wealth management. I want to be in that field because, that's become one of my new hobbies. And like, I try to be, cognizant of when I'm doing things that, that I enjoy, that I have fun doing, and that come effortlessly. And that's one of the things over the past few years is that I've really enjoyed. So I would love to be doing that, helping kids learn about personal finance, athletes, managing, putting people in the right position, because that feels good too. Like when you have a guy who calls you back after a couple years and it's like, hey, I made money on this and you told me about it. That's a really good feeling.
It's gotta be.
It's a really good feeling, so I definitely want to be in that space.
All right, so I'm gonna put you to the test here. I'm talking to Khari, the future wealth manager. Being a wealth manager is almost like you could look at it as someone's life agent. I'm giving you a fee of my net worth, my earnings, for you to make the right decisions with it. And so, what's your pitch to someone who's wealth manager shopping? Like, why would I choose you to why would I go to you for money advice versus somebody else?
Shit. Well, right now, it's gonna be the fact that I'm willing to go find the answer. I might not have all the answers. I know I don't have all the answers. Right? I'm 27. I'm not even a wealth manager right now.
Yeah.
But if you were coming to me and say, hey, look, I want you to manage your money, it would be the fact that if you have a question and I don't have the answer, I'm gonna go try my very best to go find the answer and put you in the very best position possible for your risk profile, for you and your family. So I think that would be the case. And, like you said, in the future, you are somebody's life manager and you're with them. Hopefully you get a client from 30 and you with them till they 65 and they retire and they're happy and they're like, you did right by me for 35 years. Hopefully that is the trajectory, and, I could build relationships with people and, help them, ride the roller coaster that's the volatility of the markets and the real estate market. And I think that'll be really, fulfilling.
Blasingame Advisors. Keep it simple.
You know what? I'm gonna owe you money for that.
Hey, I do take royalties. I'm
gonna owe you money for that. That was good.
Yeah,
that was
man.
good.
Yeah. Give me your dream guest, business of athletes.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Okay, why?
I mean, you just look at everything he's been able to do from, the WWE. So he once played football at Miami, right? I believe he did.
Yes.
And, transition to the WWE was an entertainment and sports. And then you look at the different pivots he's been able to make from the WWE to movie superstardom to television. He was on the show Ballers. Now he's the owner and president of the UFL, the new league that just merged. Yeah,
they merged with the XFL. That was crazy.
Yeah, the XFL and the USFL. So, like, for somebody he has a tequila brand, for somebody to be at that level of ownership and have once been an athlete, been in entertainment, I think he would be the perfect guest because, it's probably not much that he hasn't experienced from sports, from entertainment, from business ownership that he wouldn't be able to give a lot of wisdom to a lot of people. And he's also just cool as hell. So
yeah, he's a cool dude. I'd test his tequila with him anywhere, anytime. That'd be a lot of fun.
That would be cool. So I would say Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, hey, I really appreciate you coming on, Khari, and sharing a bit about what you have going on. And for those watching, please, first of all, like and subscribe to my pod. But after you do that, go over to Khari's page, the Business of Athletes. Give them a like, subscribe, give them some love, because he's going to come out with some more content in this little off-season sprint. But this has been a great episode here with Khari Blasingame, Chicago Bears fullback. I've been your host, Noah Lack. Khari, thanks so much, man. I'm glad we could connect here and chat a little game.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
No doubt.